All right, lady. Today we have a very special guest in Cultivating Her Space. Tommy Vincent is a chef, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, multimedia personality, and writer, best known as the matriarch of Vincent Country. And she's the wife of Troy Vincent, Executive Vice President of NFL football operations and former All Pro NFL cornerback. To kick off 2021, Tommy launched Stay a While, a podcast satisfying the hunger for connection and a judgment free conversation. In every episode, Tommy Vincent breaks bread with bold, passionate, everyday women who have faced the impossible and are still standing to tell their testimony. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can watch Tommy continue the conversations from the Stay a While podcast on her weekly IG Lives. There is so much more amazingness, I want to say, to this woman. So we're just going to jump right into the conversation and let you hear from her yourself, okay? So, welcome to Cultivating Her Space, Tommy.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Terry, for the amazing introduction. I appreciate that.
You are so welcome.
Yes, Terry gives the most amazing introductions. So we are going to dive into our quote of the day. And Tommy, these words will sound very familiar to you because these are yours. The quote of the day is: take into consideration how people receive your message. So I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. Take into consideration how people receive your message. Tommy, when I came across that quote, like it immediately hit me like, oh, yeah, that is something that's really important for us to do. And so I'm curious, what sparked that particular quote for you?
Communication should be about effectiveness and not just your ability just to say something because you have words you desire to get out. Ultimately, a good communicator is looking to make sure not only do you hear the words coming out of my mouth, but you get the understanding so that we're moving forward in the right direction. So it's not just enough just to be talking, running your mouth. Um, Ultimately you want people to get an understanding of what you're saying. So why it doesn't matter that you consider what you're saying and how you're saying it, because you want people to get that understanding so it sticks in whatever words you used, they now have been transformed into action.
So powerful. So powerful. Thank you for sharing that for sure. I feel like sometimes there are times in life you ever meet someone where they try to use big words just to impress someone else, and it's like, well, what is the purpose? What is the goal and the intention of stating this? Like, do you want people to understand, or do you want it to go over their head? Or when you're really upset and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna air it out and I'm gonna feel better after, and it's like, wait, but did they get I see you shaking your head like, So I appreciate you sharing that. I think all of us can probably use that in our lives. So, lady, you're welcome. I know Tommy's gonna bless you more with her gems, but you're welcome already. So, Tommy, can you talk to us a bit about your origin story and what is Vincent Country?
Yes, so Vincent Country is our family lifestyle brand. It is a family lifestyle brand, and it was established throughout our entire life together. I have been married now for 27 plus years. And in the process of our journey, not even in it was really unbeknownst to us, but we were really creating and cultivating a lifestyle for family and the ability to find success where you are. And when I reached this juncture in my life where I recognized there's been a lot of cultivating going on for everyone in my family, my husband and my children. However, there was a complete lack of cultivation for myself because I was so busy pouring in, and everyone had got so used to status quo of this is what life looks like in the Vincent family that um, there was a gaping hole in me. And so I worked diligently to really deal with bringing myself to a place of a healthy mental state of mind. And in that process, Vincent Country, the lifestyle brand, was born. Because when I look back over the course of our time together in our life, I said, girl, you did that. And it wasn't even because I was looking for this moment in time to have that self recognition. Like I wasn't looking for nobody else to clap me up and cheer me on. But because I got so lost in the process, I didn't even understand the value of what I was investing in my family. And so, Vincent Country, to really just hone in on that, it's a space where we're saying, you know what? We've developed this country, and our pillars are faith, family, and food. Every single person has the power and the ability to create their own country and establish what matters to you. What are your non negotiables? And live your life in a way so that every single person in that family has the ability to shine.
Yes.
I love
That's
that. Oh
amazing.
my gosh. It is so beautiful. And, as I was listening to you, I think about how many other women out there I know who encounter the same experience, right? That they spend so much time pouring into everyone else around them that they forget about pouring into themselves,
Mhm.
right? And so, even within that, I think about this would kind of also forms this notion that we have to pour into everyone else and not necessarily ourselves, is this idea of a woman having it all, right? And I see your face, Tommy, when I said that a woman has it all. So when you hear that and you think about in the space that you were back then and the journey to where you are now, how would you define a woman having it all?
I reject that. I don't want to have it all. I am not your everything. I'm not your superwoman. And the cape Ben done came off because what you need is far beyond anything that I have to offer. And the ability to be able to operate from a place where I'm not operating, or as a woman, you're not operating from depletion. You have to be able to recognize your limitations. And limitations are not that's not a negative. Understanding that you have a capacity, and once you reach that capacity, it's over. So we're not looking to work towards reaching or maximizing our capacity in the day, because that means you've emptied your cup and there's nothing left for you. And so recognizing that is so critical. But all day long I am rejecting the superwoman.
We love to hear and love to see it because we definitely talked about that before, Tommy. That's so powerful. But one thing I want to go back to is you talked about pouring into your family so much. And what I envisioned when you shared that, correct me if I'm wrong, was you just, I mean, showing up in all kinds of ways, right? But taking care of the household. People will really underestimate being the CEO of the home, but I envision you being the CEO of the home, cooking meals, making sure the children are okay, making sure your husband is good and he has what he needs to pursue his goals and dreams, all that good stuff, right? At what point did you realize there was this gaping hole? And then can you talk to us about what had to shift for you in order for you to in order for you to move in a different direction, if that makes sense? So was there like a pivotal moment where you were like, hold up?
Yeah, there was a dire moment in my life where, and I use this analogy to describe it. If we're all sitting in a room and the lights are on a dimmer, and gradually all day long the light is dimming, and it's getting less and less light in the room. You don't recognize it because the increments are so small, and your eyes will just begin to adjust. Well, for me, that's what was happening in my life, and I didn't even recognize it because it was just subtle. Over time, the lights were getting dimmer and dimmer, and one day the light was off. And I didn't even know what the heck happened, how I got there. I just knew that all of a sudden I wasn't getting out of the bed, and I was dropping my twins off at school, coming home, getting in the bed, pulling the covers over my head, laying in the bed until it was time to go pick them up, going to pick them up. They would get in. They were young enough where, I could say, oh, let's make a pallet and y'all watch movies and eat cereal. And I climbed back in the bed, pulled the covers over my head. And my husband was working in New York. So it was very easy for me to wear the mask when he came home on the weekend because he was tired too. So I muster up enough strength just to, make it like, oh, I made a meal. Oh, you tired? Let's get back in the bed. And so there was this cycle that was going on. And for the life of me, it was one of the most challenging times of my life because I knew how to fix everyone else. I was walking with many women and they were looking to me for guidance and as a confidant and a friend. And in this moment, I had nothing for me. I did not know what to do. But I knew that something serious was going on. And I was praying. So, for anyone thinking like prayer is enough and your relationship with the Lord is enough, I believe in therapy and I believe in Jesus. So, Jesus and therapy got it done for me. And I am so grateful that I had that experience and I was able to get the strategies required for me to come out on the other side, recognizing that girlfriends are great, but a girlfriend ain't gonna be able to give you what you need when you're in trouble. When you have depleted your mental capacity and you have become unhealthy in your mind, you need professional help.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, yes. As the mental health professional, I definitely approve this message. um, Therapy and Jesus, I love it. It's important. Both are important. And so Tommy, when you talk about your cup being depleted and then you sought help, what are the things that you do now to fill your cup? Like, what does that look like? How do you know now, like, okay, my cup is full?
For me, it is about being extremely intentional about scheduling. And that may sound very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like rigid in, approaching your day and having a schedule, but no different than you schedule a meeting on your calendar. I believe it's important to have the same type of routine for your life. And when you're putting things on your calendar, you'll look at your calendar and you'll say, okay, um, at 12 o'clock, I have this meeting. So if something else comes along, you're like, oh, I can't do it because I'm obligated. My time is already allocated. So for myself, I start my morning out in prayer. And then from prayer, I go to doing some type of physical activity. From there, I go to turning on my gospel music and feeling not only the atmosphere with that for myself, but also for my children and my husband, because I'm looking to cultivate an atmosphere that is conducive for everybody to thrive. But where I am now in my life, I recognize that before I look to them having the ability to thrive, it's important for me to be thriving and beyond the state of just surviving and just making it. That's just not fair for anyone and it's completely unacceptable for me.
And at this point in your journey, Tommy, what would you say your passion is? And do you have a moment you can think about where you were like, you know what, this is the most surprising thing I found about this particular passion that I have that might be helpful for other folks?
From a passion perspective, one thing I recognize about passion is that passion, um, you can place passion on a shelf because your passion may not hold priority in your life because it's something that, hey, this is just something that makes me feel good. And so when I found that I was able to couple my passion with my purpose, now for me, it's just not an option not to do it. And I'll go back to my healing journey. And when I recognized that there was a space in my life where the table in the kitchen and being around my grandmother clinking and clanking the pots and making food, that there was something special in that time. There was something that was extremely nourishing and healing, that for myself, when I was in that place where the lights were starting to come back on, I knew that that was a place that I always gravitated towards. One, because everybody in my family could throw down. So it wasn't to me a gift. It was just this just what we do around here. We put it down in the kitchen. And then knowing just the power that was present there. And so for me, where I sit today and how I've been able to take that passion and purpose and actually parlay it into just the things I've been able to accomplish to date, the circles I've been able to cultivate with women from all over the country, with the Stay a While podcast, all of that stuff, it goes back to my grandmother's kitchen. So I would have never known that that's where my passion and purpose would intersect, and it would be able to transform not only me but transform the lives of just countless number of people all over the country.
That is so powerful. And y'all have to go check out Tommy's Instagram because the meals, I mean, they could throw
Yes.
down in my family too, but the way these
Yes.
pictures are looking, I'm like, I'm gonna need, we're gonna have to figure out how to get some of that, some of, yeah, we're gonna have to figure
Right.
this out.
I'm ready for it. I am ready
Okay.
for one of
Tell us
Tommy's
what to do,
meals.
Tommy. Tell us what to do.
Yes. And so, speaking of your delicious meals, Tommy, what is if you had to think of, and I know sometimes this is a hard question to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you had to think of or name the meal that means the most to you, which meal is that and why?
So I'm going to go to a section of the day, and that is brunch. Brunch, I know that's not a specific dish, but the reason why
Mhm.
brunch means so much to me because it's easy like Sunday morning. There is when you are doing brunch, you're not it's not a schedule. You may have slept in, and it's just in between time, and you're not rushing. And you're really looking forward to the food that's going to be on the table and also the company that you're going to be with in the moment of that brunch. And so, brunch is a special meal for me. And as far as cooking is concerned, for me, it's all about it feels like comfort and it tastes like home. So, short of that, if love ain't in it and it doesn't have those two components, then I really don't want it. And I'm really not going to serve it up to anyone at my table.
Now, Tommy, what advice do you have for the women that are listening and they're like, this conversation sounds amazing. I'm rocking with Tommy. This is all great, but I don't know how to cook, girl. Like, what resources do you have for those women that might be struggling in the kitchen? The kitchen is not their ministry, Tommy.
And that's okay. And I think that we just need to understand that this is we talked about limitations. Now, if you can't cook, that's one thing. That's okay if you are unable to cook, but that doesn't mean that you can't create an atmosphere. That don't mean you can't set a table and light some candles and get your takeout food and put it on some nice dishes and create a space where you're saying, you know what, we're about to sit at this table and stay a while. We're about to have some conversation that's about to transform some lives. That one doesn't have anything to do with the other. It's about the intention behind what you're doing and the love that you're pouring into what you're doing. But I believe it is essential for everybody to have at least two recipes that they can execute in their repertoire, because cooking is a gift that keeps on giving, and cooking is essential to life. You need to be able to cook for yourself. I mean, we have ways that we're able to access food. And now, of course, you got apps and delivery services that'll bring anything to your door. But what if you need to make yourself something to eat? What if you are the only resource to provide the meal? You got to have one where, look, boil some hot dogs and put them on a platter and chop up some onions and put in some dishes, some ketchup and mustard, and just make it look pretty, because you eat with your eyes first. Your eyes and your nose are the senses that are saying, yes, this is inviting. I want to sit at this table and I want to stay a while.
I love that. Yes, I want to come and stay a while if you bake some hot dogs, and I don't even eat hot dogs. You just made it sound like amazing, and I think that I really resonate with that. Right, that it's about the experience, and it's about being with yourself. You know, spending time and cooking is a way to take care of yourself and those around you, and I think that that's so beautiful. So, Tommy, if we were to ask your husband and your children their favorite meal that you cook, what would they say?
My husband would say shrimp and grits.
Oh,
And yeah, and I don't he's so simple as far as food is concerned. He really would eat anything that I make. That's one thing that he and we kind of sometimes we have to have some conversation, because I'm like, Troy, you have to mature your palate and, come up from some of the things that we used to eat when we was living around the way. Like, let's let's make some adjustments there. But anyhow, my children, there's one dish that they love. It's called chuck wagon. And I don't know if it's because something when they were younger, I prepared it. It's really simple. It's not a lot to it, but it's like ground meat with black beans and peppers and onions and barbecue sauce and cheese, and then you pour over top of it cornbread, and you bake it in a cast iron skillet, and it's called chuck wagon, and that is their favorite. They love it.
Okay,
oh
I'm
my
gonna have to
gosh,
get
that
me some
meal
chuck
sounds so
wagon.
good.
Oh,
Right?
Now
that is
listen,
really,
that's something anybody can make.
yeah. And the cast iron skillet. Mm-mm-mm. You
Yes.
just totally threw me off. No, I don't know. Now my mind is just blank. 'Cause I'm thinking about. I think I'm hungry too, Tommy. So this doesn't really help. But no, that's
Me
really
too.
good.
Me too.
Oh
Me
wow.
too.
What is your personal favorite meal? Like, do you have your own favorite that's like your go-to if you got family coming over, or you're just like, I'm kind of hungry right now. What is your go-to meal?
So this is going to probably just sound off, but for me, I have a pleasure, and it is a bowl of cereal and a great TV show. And I think why that has left such a great impression on me is because I remember when I was younger, when my dad would shower up and, come from a long, hard day of work, that's what he used to do. And so as I, continue to grow into adulthood and life, started happening, I found myself using that as a personal retreat. Once everybody went down, after we had, this was after we had dinner together, I would still get a bowl of cereal, sit down, and put on a show that I wanted to watch, and I would just really enjoy the moment. Um, so that's not even something that I needed to cook. But for me, because food is about the healing properties and the experience that one has, that's an experience for me, and it is an area that I'm able to retreat and to pour into myself.
Now we gotta know what kind of cereal. Captain
So
Crunch, or
I
you want?
like,
Okay, what is
mm-mm,
it?
no, it is mini frosted shredded wheat.
Okay, those are
Ah,
good. I love
okay.
it. I love it.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
I can totally envision that. And so, Tommy, what question, because I know you are interviewed a lot, right? What question do you wish people would ask you more often?
That's tough. Um, I've never thought of that's not anything that I've ever even considered. Um, when I'm talking to people, I don't like to feel like a transaction. You know, people are not transactions. So when I'm talking to people, as long as the questions are looking to really understand me and get to know me. And
Yeah.
I like when people ask me questions beyond what they read on paper, because then I know that not only did you get to, explore that area, but you see me as a person and you desire to get to know me in a greater way. And I think that that speaks to the need that we have in society right now about realness, and to come to this place where we are going beyond social media. We are going beyond these fake, fictitious lives that we're seeing where everybody's just, you know, living their best life, and so on and so forth. And so conversations like this one right here are the conversations I love, because I believe that people that are searching and looking for hope and looking for ways that they can tap into their best selves, they know real, and they're looking for genuine experiences. And so I'm grateful for this conversation, and I'm grateful for the questions that you all have been asking me.
Oh, well, I'm so happy to hear that, Tommy, because we're gonna get it even more genuine and even more real with this next segment. So get ready, get ready. So, Tommy, because we recognize, appreciate, and celebrate the multifaceted woman, and we believe that it's okay to be bougie, classy, and ratchet, and you can still be elegant. And although you may not do this, Tommy, we know that some of our listeners might dance to strip club music, right? And they still might want to have, I don't know, a tea party with the girls, right? Like they just gonna mix it up, right? So we want to invite you to the Oh You Blatchett segment. So, do you take on the challenge?
Absolutely.
That's what we like to hear. So now that you've agreed to this challenge, we want to give you a little bit more insight on what you've agreed to. So we are going to ask you three questions. We're going to share three sentence completions. And we have three photos that are pulled up on my big screen over here, and we're going to show them to you. And yeah, we want you to provide more context about the one photo that you're going to choose. So let's dive into the first question here. You talked about being married for 27 years. I know people probably ask you this a lot, but what's something about marriage that you think that most people just aren't either prepared for or just aren't aware of based on your experience? Because 27 years, that's a lifetime. But I mean, it feels like for me at least, that's a long time.
So something that I don't people may not consider is that sometimes you like each other and sometimes you don't. And so you need to make up your mind early on that you are in this thing for the long haul, because your emotions and your feelings will tell you otherwise on more than one occasion. And so I know that love is wonderful, but we are human beings. And so you will go in and out, in and out, in and out. But every day I look at my husband and he looks at me. We made a commitment a long time ago. Divorce is not an option. And so you got to fix your mind on that thing, because marriage is not for the faint at heart.
That was a beautiful piece of advice. Love that.
Yes, I love that too. All right. So, marriage truly is not for the faint of heart. Now, when it comes to
I'm so
dancing,
nervous.
don't be. It's okay. Don't be. When it comes to dancing, are you going to twerk or two step?
So I'm a chair dancer. I could throw down in a chair. But
Me too.
Lord, when
Me
I
too.
get up and have to move my hands with my feet, I'll be like, what is happening? Like, I never got that gift. So I'm definitely going to be two stepping. That's what you're going to see. But in my head, I feel like I'm twerking.
I love that. I
Love
love
it.
that. I'm right there with
And
you.
the way you moved, the way you moved when Dom asked that question, I saw a little shimmy coming on. So I was like, I'm
You
not
you know what I'm
surprised about
saying?
the.
I was like,
I saw it. I saw the shimmy.
I'm in a chair,
Go ahead,
girl.
girl.
I'm in a
Go ahead,
chair.
girl. Now, the next question for you, Tommy, is what is the sexiest item you own?
Hmm. So I have this, it's like a it's like a satin long flowy gown, and it's loungewear. And I like regal. I like it reminds me of actually my Nana Claudia. She kept beautiful loungewear. And so she would do her makeup, she would do her hair, and then she would have on these regal outfits. And she was just glamorous. And so to me, that translates as sexy because you feeling yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, it's really colorful and it's really beautiful. And I got it from Publix for $10.
Okay, yes, put us on. I love
Okay,
that. Ain't
Publix.
nothing like,
The
okay, some
grocery
good
store.
loungewear. Yes, okay, okay, we see
Yes. Okay. All right. So, our first sentence completion. The most embarrassing thing I've ever done to get my husband's attention is.
He's so nosy. I don't have to do anything to get his attention. He always, I be like, oh my gosh. He just nosy. I don't have to do anything.
She's like, he on it already, okay? What about, let's see. Okay, we're gonna go to the next sentence completion here, and it is dun, 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 dun. What I love most about myself is
My authenticity.
love it, sweet and simple, my authenticity.
Okay, and then the final sentence completion. One thing I wished everyone knew about me is.
That I am more sensitive than they realize. And can I elaborate on that, on my answer?
Absolutely, please do.
So, and years ago, a girlfriend, she shared this with me. I have a posture that I live my life. I just and I believe it's because I had to survive for so long that I don't complain about anything, no matter how challenging it is, no matter how difficult and how weighty it may feel. And so people just automatically assume I'm okay, because the exterior would never say otherwise. And so I just, wish that people would just take that into account, that yes, I know how to get things done, but I'm not exempt from feeling the load and also having to navigate through internal emotions and feelings that I'm having as a result of what I am enduring.
Thank you so much for elaborating on that, Tommy. That reminds me of the quote that I'm sure many of us have seen on social media. Don't forget to check on your strong friends. And
Hmm.
so I do have a follow-up question. I know we said that was the last one, but I have one more question. So if your friends are listening, or family members, what's the best way for someone to check in with you? Because you are that person that's probably not going to say anything. You're just going to, just continue to push through and survive like you've been doing in your life. What's one way that they can check up on you to pretty much ensure a response or get some type of feedback from you?
They could just send me a text and just check in. For me, that goes, you know, just knowing that you're on somebody's mind is powerful. Like
Mm,
that is powerful that people are thinking of you in a moment of time in their day, because time is our greatest commodity. And when someone is using their time on you, for me, That is love.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, we have three pictures pulled up from your Instagram. I'm going to build some suspense. And we want you to choose a number from one to three. And when you choose that number, we're going to show you the picture and give us more context about the photo.
3.
Three. I figured you would say three. We already have three pulled up too. All right, here we go.
So this is myself and my daughter Desiree. And Desiree and I are at Ohio State University. We are attending the game because my son Tehran plays for the Buckeyes. And if you can see the picture, in the picture, I have a 6 on my jersey, and on the back it says Vincent because he's number 6. And of course, he is a Vincent. And that was our family went up for the game, and it's always a wonderful time when we can all come together because we're spread out: Michigan, Atlanta, Virginia, and New York, and Ohio. So coming together is really special. So that's me and my oldest daughter Desiree.
Beautiful. Yay, thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, I have loved this conversation, Tommy, and I know that our listeners out there are going to want to know how can they connect with you. So, Tommy, tell them where can they find you.
So I am able to be found in a few places. One is on Instagram, and that my Instagram handle is at Chef Tommy V, and that's Tommy with an I. Also, um, I have my Stay a While podcast platform where there's conversations that can be heard. And this season, actually, we have Dr. Dom on there. So that's an amazing and man, powerful conversation that you must listen to. And so that's everywhere you listen to podcasts. And then our family lifestyle brands website is vincentcountry.com.
Thank you so much, Tommy. This was so special. We appreciate you, and you have inspired me to figure out how to create my own country for my family. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. And lady, we hope you enjoy this conversation.